will remind you of Porter County.
My granddad, 50 years.
Yeah.
On all the work like
bridge to Mexico.
Chopper. Here comes the chopper. Or boat.
If y'all really want to take something from this, the idea to take is the boat went up and not a single one of them saw us. So what does that tell you about this area? Anybody that crosses or anybody wanting to do something just takes a little piece of tree to hide you.
And so they haven't been alerted yet by sensors or anything that we're down here.
Is that GPS or Border Patrol? Yeah, specifics we can. No, I believe that was actually. The thing is, GPS and working with Border Patrol, the whole thing helps out, especially down in this area. There used to be a lot more traffic when they had the groups of 293. They would come up and then they would work their way up. And now they were crossing in groups of 100 or 100 plus down that way and walking up. So
how we get the cross?
You're saying now it's dropped to 100?
Probably 100 or less, 80s,
at
50s.
A time.
Right. That's one event. From the time the first raft crosses until they're done, and everybody starts congregating and they get together, it can take the space of an hour. But yeah, that group is 193, and now it's probably down to around 50 or less. So it feels better.
No one in that boat looked at us. What's up with that?
Everybody has their patrolling methods. The thing is, you have to look around, but you can only concentrate on certain things. As a VC, whoever's in charge of the boat, you're responsible for safety. Your guy here is responsible for making sure nobody shoots you, does anything bad. The people in front, they just didn't look. It just takes one tree, one brush to hide you, and if they do that, you're not going to see them. Right. So they may be distracted just to show, hey, look at this. Because people look at Mexico, but they don't look on our side.
15 to 16 people.
All right. If you want to look at it that way, imagine we're a group of 16 to 20 illegals. It's easy to hide. That's why it's so important to patrol the area. Because you'll notice in the time we've been here, how many people have we seen?
Now, Albert, okay, as someone who's a spokesperson for the Border Patrol Union in the Rio Grande Valley sector, you're an agent in the Rio Grande Valley sector to patrol this area.
Right.
Now, even with the surge, and even with the DPS, even with the military coming in, the National Guard, is that going to be enough to properly secure this area, or do you need more people?
We're going to need more people, more equipment. The big issue is unless you literally have somebody every 100 yards or less, it's going to be almost impossible to secure. You have to use your manpower and your technology. And as you saw, I mean, if you look at that boat, it's a classic example. I'm not saying anything bad about on that boat because I might have missed it as well. But you have to constantly be looking because they would have had their field of vision is here, but as soon as they turned, they would have had to look back that way. And it's not saying anything bad about their excellent help. It's just that's what happens. You get some groups, you don't get others, and then you have a couple hundred people walking.
Okay, now tell us a little bit about this area under the San Luis Bridge and this
San Luis Bridge, St. Pete's Brush on the other side, Fish and Wildlife, which you can't go there or you'll get a ticket. And if you guys go there, I won't be going with you because I'm off duty. In this area down here, other refuge property, Fish and Wildlife runs it, and what they do is we can patrol it on established roads, but they're very hesitant or they don't like regular people going. You got to protect the wildlife, and then we're in the middle coming down here. The private property, since we got access to one of the properties, come down here, and it used to be this was a big area for narcotics where you would have trucks when they were building the bridge. You had a truck come down probably like 15 to 1,600 pounds or something in the back of the truck. It was not able to make it to the river, so we got it. I mean, their drug was 1,000 pounds. That's something I'm talking about. Still 1,000, not really. But I mean, this area, we've gotten a lot of narcotics. Now it's kind of expanded to the people. It's slowed down a little bit. Even though we don't see anybody, we still have somebody monitoring us. But maybe just some of the emphasis in this area, they've moved it further down there to the other refuge area. That it's harder for people to go get it. And since you're restricted to established roads, it makes it a longer time in order to report to traffic or to respond to traffic.
Okay.
You said Fish and Wildlife Refuge over there?
Right.
Is that federal or state?
Federal.
So now, do you have the same problem with lookouts here that they have in the Laredo sector and the rest of the border?
We have lookouts everywhere. If you look at San Luis Park on the weekends, if you happen to go out or if you were around tomorrow, you'll see families who look like they're fishing, but they're on the cell phone 90% of the time. So they're calling out, hey, the boats have moved. All you have to do is move 100 yards in either direction, and you can't be seen, and there go. The thing is, you look for the jet skis doing a stupid move and look downriver, and they're distracting you. So, yeah, we have problems. A lot of times they have more intel sources than we do. They'll take a load out, and they may have up to 15 or 20 scouts laying out reporting on every single thing we do. So if you want to compare it to something, it's kind of like the jihadis or whoever in Iraq. When the military goes out, they've got people reporting, bing, 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 and when it gets to a certain spot, boom, because they have so many people spotting. So it's almost like a guerrilla organization. They're good at what they do.
This is primarily the gold cartel on the other side?
The drug cartel or those supposedly Zetas might be trying to make inroads back.
What do you guys need? What can the grassroots in Texas, all the people who meet and care about the state, what can they do for you?
Well, speaking as a union steward,
As a union steward, what
right,
can we do?
I know. That's my way of joking. What do we need? Better equipment. I drive a boat at night, and we have the headgear, which you wear, sometimes helmet, sometimes a headgear, which is elastic, and mine's rotted out. So instead of driving like this, I have to drive like this, which means one hand on the MBG. Because we can drive with MBG with radar. But it makes it easier if we have the headgear, if we have those helmets. I love DPS, I love the state of Texas. Their gear is better than ours. What can we do? Maybe we can put in for a grant.
Well, so you're saying the state laws?
The state has better than I do. Their rifles are better, their armor is better, their headgear is better, their boats are better. I don't know that we need 6 machine guns. One would be nice, but we'll probably never get it. Yeah, their equipment is better than ours. As what? Limitations. The big stuff is this. Mexicans cross over, we process it, we can send them back if they're not going to jail. If it's an OTM is other than Mexican. I can see somebody cross the river right now, I pick them up, I process them. Mexico won't take them back because they're not Mexican citizens. Even though I could take a video of them crossing from Mexico to here, show it to them, and they still wouldn't take them back because they're not. Even when we take our people down, we have to let their immigration know that we're taking your people back so they can inspect them to make sure they're actually Mexican and not from other countries.
Why do we have that? Why can't we just shove them back?
Agreements, legal stuff. That's something that's way above our pay grade. That's got to be something congressional, state, or whatever. Politics.
Like earlier, you were talking about the rafts coming over. We all just wait and let them come all the way over?
Oh no, you're gonna try and distract or stop, but the problem is, especially in the areas where they won't let you guys go, and upriver, all you have to do is, if they're coming here, if you move 50 yards upriver, and by the time you get there, they're already here. The smugglers have made a catch football, right? Why? It's like the Cubans. All they have to do is touch the land, and as soon as they touch the land, and I say that, kind of half-heartedly joking, kind of half not, but the issue is the resources, because from that point we're responsible for safety, security, and all this, and the Border Patrol has done the best job out of all this, because we catch the people, but the people trying to remove DHS, HHS, they're terrible at their jobs, and our resources, we've been hampered. We have so many people babysitting or watching. When our cells were packed, our station can hold like 300 people. We've actually held up to 1,300 almost. And you have agents, and the issues, especially with the sicknesses, some people are like, oh, their immunizations are above average, even better than ours. What's picking up on the way? Because the stash houses in Mexico are so bad, they don't have standards over there. And when we get here, there was an agent in Laredo, I believe, who got a bacterial pneumonia, which, kind of came from a Central American country. These kids with scabies, with lice. There was a kid who had chicken pox and a staph infection at the same time. So, that's a big thing.
So let me follow up on that. How is those diseases impacting the border agents themselves?
I mean, the worry is taking it home. I think we've had guys that caught scabies and some other stuff, but they really started to pay attention when they found out about the chicken pox and the other stuff. There's a concern. If you look, H1N1 or the swine flu, they had one at Lackland, there was one at Fort Brown, one at the Brownsville station. So those diseases, I mean, it's out there. It's just what's making it north. And I consider north the checkpoint. Anything north of the checkpoint is north. Is as soon as you make it past there, you've disappeared.
Right.
So what's the issue is people need to realize, even though it's slowed down right now, now we're about to make their job easier. We're about to give them a plane ride from Honduras or Guatemala, whoever they're considering doing the pilot program. So it's kind of like making it easier. I don't know, personally, I would like to see some of the Christians who are being persecuted in the Middle East by the Iraqis given, but I don't know if that would ever happen, and that's not a political statement. But, I think we have too much emphasis there. I'd like to see, instead of having all this stuff for 50,000, 60,000 per alien, giving our vets a place to sleep. You know, I've heard the jokes about the veterans saying, hey, you know, maybe I should cross illegally and come back so I can be, and that's it. I mean, again, above our pay grade, but that's one of the things where a lot of the people are like, look at what's happening. So,
just curious, is data available, or do you have a range? Out of 100 apprehensions, how many of them stay? How many of them actually get processed and sent back to wherever they come from?
Mexicans are going to go back unless they go to jail. OTMs are probably, it depends. If they're adult OTMs without children, they're probably going to be sent back unless they can really show that they have what's called a credible fear, which an asylum officer determines. If they're families, an adult, usually a female and multiple children, they're probably going to get to stay. They dumped a bunch of them off at the bus station today. If they're unaccompanied children, they're going to be detained until they can be hand-delivered to their families. No, I mean up north. So like Chicago, hey, watch it now, and see if they notice now. Yep. Did one of them notice now? Either they didn't notice or whatever, but again, don't take it bad. Hey, Texas, you know what, state of Texas, and you can put that on Phil. The troopers, the game wardens, everybody, outstanding group of people. It's just, this is difficult terrain to work in. We need more boats, we need more helicopters, we need more aerostats, we need the facilities, because realistically, we've had the opportunity to come down here right now because they're not harassing us, and yes, I use the term harassing, but what it gives us is we should not have been here this long without somebody checking us out. And why did that happen? The
consistent underlying message throughout yesterday and today has been boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground.
And I'm curious, can this be controlled with a proper force of personnel on the board?
It can be controlled a hell of a lot better. Pardon the language, but yeah, it can be managed more effectively. Can it be controlled? It depends on what your definition of control is.
We've got 1.5 million people in the military. I'm just curious if you can control the traffic that's trying to get away, because the traffic that's trying to get away because they're a criminal or they're going to be sent back, you can control that. That could be brought pretty good, well, with the numbers. The people who are trying to give up, it would be harder because they're going to come straight up to you. If you have one soldier here, he can monitor from there to up here, and if anybody comes, they could do that. So technically, yeah, that could work. But if a policy change allowed you to return them immediately 300 yards back to their home and be done with it.
Oh, with the OTMs, that'll never happen. That's other stuff I would discuss off tape, but that'll never happen.
Well, let me ask you this question about the DPS surge.
Sure.
Now, I'm a big supporter of DPS, so I'm not criticizing them. But the surge itself and the way it's being run this time as opposed to the 3-week pilot program last year, how much is it helping you guys out, actually?
I think the DPS, any additional manpower helps. The issue with DPS, okay, one, they're causing the bad guys to shift their tactics because they're everywhere.
Right.
And two, if they come down, they're patrolling, they're stopping carloads, they're stopping, they have bailouts and stuff, which indicates our border is not as secure as some senator thinks, because the fact is people are getting north. People, how are they making it north if it's secure? How, with them, how is it, okay, off that subject, but, the guy up in northern Texas who, this is his 4th time that he's probably going to be deported, and he molested a 9-year-old girl.
Right.
How did he make it north?
County. I live in that
Did it? Who's your sheriff? I saw him on TV, I think. Is
Fowler.
that WFAA.com or something?
Yeah, FOWLER.
Oh, yeah, you can tell him I said hi, because he's...
I actually want to go by his office
really?
and thank him for his statement.
No, it was good, because I saw that, and I mean, realistically, he made the statement, hey, that guy came during this big surge when all this is happening, and that is true. Now, are we ever going to have 100%? No, you can get it as close as you can, but the fact was, that guy made it through and molested a 9-year-old girl. There was a gentleman who was at our station who they let him go with paperwork to appear in court who murdered somebody in Louisiana.
Right.
Louisiana. Bludgeoned his girlfriend.
I didn't do
Was that you?
That was broken.
He's got his sources, they're good.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, it's a combination of stuff. There's so much more to the story, and it's not what people know or what people think. You think unaccompanied juvies, you think family units. That's not the half of it. Well, I was telling you earlier, today they had, when I left the station, they had Sri Lanka, Tibet, and what's the other country? Sri Lanka, Tibet, and I'll remember the other one in a second. And they had Chinese. So, I mean, we got some really special people coming through. So, you know, was it Sri Lanka? Was that the Tamil Tigers, you know, in the old days where they had those, the originators of the suicide bomb?
Right.
But, I mean, we get exotics all the time. In our station, I've caught Israelis before, which was unusual. We've had people from Africa, from terrorist countries. There were Iraqis years ago that were captured out towards Rio. People think it's all this little stuff, and it's not. It's everything. What aren't we catching because we're not here? What aren't we catching because we haven't seen anybody here? How many narcotics are making it through because, you know, what's happening?
Right.
Well, thanks for everything.
Would you tell us what the morale is of your agents? And I ask this question because we appreciate the work that they do, but we understand that sometimes there's a great distance between the job they know that they should do and what they're allowed to do.
It varies. I mean, I tend to be mostly happy because I'm irreverent. I have a really bad sense of humor, as you can tell from my jokes. We're doing our job, and sometimes, you know, it seems like the government doesn't care, so we have to care as much as we can. If they're going to let somebody through, and we're just going to have to say, okay, hopefully they're not going to my town. We live here, so everybody's going north. We're okay.
Coming to my town.
I'm sorry.
How many members in your union in this sector?
Oh, God, you can ask me that. In this sector, I'm not sure. I think nationwide we're like 17,000. We're really high, probably about 80-90% in this sector. So, you know, normally what we do as stewards, we represent guys in disciplinary proceedings or issues with the contracts or when management is trying to do stuff. We just kind of got into this because so many people had questions, and it was like, you know, the American public has a right to know. And then it was like the day he got harassed, and I was there that day during part of it where somebody was an idiot, I'll say that. But, you know, I think sometimes people from above want to hide this or they want to keep it down. And the issue is, why are you doing that? You know, if the people really know, you get more resources. You know, who knows if it's really going to solve it, but you should get more resources.
It can't hurt.
So we heard yesterday that in the neighboring sector, they're actually taking people offline, not just to help children, but also to do community outreach in the time of this crisis. Is it happening here in the sector?
Well, we have different community outreach programs. You have the Explorers, you have other issues. That's not such a drain on the manpower string. The stuff dealing with the CPC or the Centralized Processing Center, where they keep all the juvies or the unaccompanied juvies, yeah, that's a drain of agents from the field or from doing other paperwork. But it's got to be done because the government won't do their job.
How many hours are your agents allowed to work?
They work 8 hours, but then they have what's called AWO, or administratively uncontrollable overtime, which is the 25%. So basically it's about 10 hours a day. You know, they were Border Patrol was trying to get rid of or CBP AUO and just pay overtime, which for us was an issue because it doesn't go to retirement. But, you know, the Border Patrol Union at the national level had proposed this pay reform, which would actually put more manpower. But that's something that, you know, we pushed with Congress. Hey, will you guys come on, do this pay reform so we don't have to worry about it every year, and so we get more manpower in the field.
Okay, so without additional hiring, you can get more manpower in the field now.
Right, with the pay reform,
with pay reform?
That would increase, because then you would have people where sometimes they're like, hey, you're not doing anything, okay, go home. Like, no, hey, you're not doing anything, grab a car, go to the field, do a couple of vueltas or drive around, do something out there, but then that's not what AUO was for, so that's why they have to change and do the pay reform.
Okay.
Do we need more manpower? We could literally probably use twice as many agents. In our, say our station, we could probably use twice as many. We could be the biggest station in the Border Patrol right now and then double it and maybe have enough manpower. And the issue is, our station, we do from Hidalgo all the way to, say, Los Ébanos, you know, the ferry.
Right.
And that's a lot of manpower. Sometimes when it's so drawn up, what happens is you don't have anybody out west. And how do we know? Because look at all these stash houses up north, or look at all the narcotics. You know, the narcotics, you know, drop dramatically. It's not that it's not going, we're just not catching it. So if we can't catch narcotics or people, what else aren't we catching, like dirty bombs or, you know, terrorists?
High value personnel.
Right, high value targets or high value individuals.
When you say you need twice as many, is that for the whole RGB?
I think we could use them anywhere. Realistically, what you're looking at is everywhere, say, from Westlaco to Rio in our section. McAllen and Rio. Rio, Valpurias probably as well. The others could, but those 4 stations particularly.
What's that work out to in linear miles of river?
Well, I know we have it as 53 linear miles. The others,
That's just 53
The Rio
linear
Grande
miles.
Valley is 53 miles?
I
Or
believe
just
so,
your
because
section of the Rio
if you look at the I mean, we go everywhere from this dam all the way up to Los Alamos Ferry, which actually I was there this morning. It's pretty cool. So it's a long amount of river, and what else? We could use more boats.
Yeah.
We use more boat agents.
If this is where we have sent all of our surge
Right.
people and the border guards or whatever that that Perry just sent, and so you have this many here, and you double that. So, and then that's just this one section.
Basically,
That's 6% of the river.
Yeah.
our river. The thing is, everybody was coming through here. Why? Because it was the closest to Central America for them to get through. A lot of the manpower is either for the CPC dealing with the juvies, processing and stuff. We need double or triple the number of people in the field. If we could field, 100, several hundred, if we could increase our numbers in the field and have them patrol, because you also have stationary positions called control points. If we could actually have people do, patrolling, that's how you catch stuff. I used to be a cop. How'd you catch the good stuff? You went out and you looked for it.
Right.
You saw something suspicious. So we don't really do that much. I mean, some do, but we need to increase that number.
How many would you say are here now? I mean, counting the surge and the people are all
can't
already
discuss
here?
numbers.
Yeah.
I can just tell you we need more.
I
We
understand.
need double, triple.
But it looks like most of the surge was coming through this sector. But do you think that there's a possibility they were being sensitive sector, so the other sectors open up for the other products they want to bring
No,
through?
I mean, there have been some narcotics increase, like meth and other stuff in California. Maybe a little bit, but not really.
Well, I mean, like
Laredo and Del Rio
Laredo,
sectors.
Del Rio.
Well, I used to work in Eagle Pass. I lived in Del Rio. Maybe it's going to increase, but this stuff right now is busy, and they're expecting it to be busy for years and years. Maybe a little bit, but realistically, no.
It just appears to be completely reactionary. So we react, we send everything down here. What do? They go upriver.
Maybe a little bit, but if you look at how much river we have and how much river Rio has, it makes it easy.
So you
Unless
say,
you literally have, that many people.
Yeah.
So
I understood that the Laredo division had 5% cutback in hours. That didn't impact y'all?
part of that stuff was what the AUO stuff. It kind of affected everybody. Let's see. Anyways, it kind of affected everybody, but that's what we're saying, the pay reform. That's how you increase the numbers of people. And so when we go on to the other spot, are you still enjoying yourself here?
Let's move to Rincon.
Because that way it's easier to hide, and there's several different ways to take it. Part of it, again, I think, had to have been DHS telling people, control this, don't let these people see what's going on, which is why you've seen us in the union speaking out, because, it's American citizens and union guys, we have to tell people, hey, look what's going on, look at the stuff you don't know about, because if you don't know what's going on, how can you tell your government what you want?
And they can only access their property on the levee road that we were on that's supposed to be restricted.
Right, well, the thing is, they have the right to go through there because, they have their property here. But if you as a regular person were to try to drive down there, they would try to scare you off. Well, what it is either Border Patrol or game wardens or DPS, the constables. The issue is everybody's got orders, and when they have money, if people give money, the federal government gives money, all of a sudden the state may modify what they do. Or you have agents who, maybe they want to be supervisors one day, and, they go out of their way. And I'm not saying all the agents are bad, and some people take this for granted. Hey, you can't be down here. But, when I swore an oath to defend the Republic, it was First Amendment, Second Amendment, my two favorites. But the First Amendment, if you violate the press or if you don't let the people know what's going on, we've already died. Do we even still have a republic? But that's another question. For off-camera kind of stuff. So anyways, but no, this is it. It's the guy's a good character. Don't like to use his name on film because don't want him targeted. But we have access to come down here and look around, and it's been helpful And, you know, hey, we got a right to be here. If somebody comes, maybe they do try to chase us up, you know, to the property owner and stuff, but that's why we come down here, you know, shed light on the truth, because, you know, turn on the light, things scatter, and hopefully it'll reveal more.
What are these houses?
The houses, they used to be people that lived down here, but little by little started living here. Not everybody crossing over to the pillar of virtue. So some of them are coming to do that.